Breaking tonight, police in St. Louis are calling for calm following protests over a suspect who was shot and killed after police say he allegedly ran out of a house and pointed a gun at them. His death came shortly after 9-year-old girl in nearby Ferguson was shot in her mother's bed while she was doing homework. But there were no protests over her. Trace Gallagher reports from our West Coast newsroom. Hello, Trace.
Shannon, we should note there is no sign so far tonight of the animosity that filled North St. Louis last night when protesters threw bricks and bottles at police who used shields to protect themselves and tear gas to disperse the angry crowd. During the unrest, local businesses were robbed and at least one car was set on fire. The violence was in response to police shooting an 18-year-old armed suspect. Officers were serving a search warrant looking for a group of violent felons when police approached a house. 2 young black men ran out the back. Police pursued and claimed one of the suspects turned and pointed a gun. The officers opened fire, killing 18-year-old Mansour Balbay, who they say was in possession of a stolen gun. The other suspect fled and is still at large. Inside the house, police found more weapons and crack cocaine. The shooting came 1 year and 10 days after the shooting death of Michael Brown, which started the Black Lives Matter movement. And while the protests raged in St. Louis, in Ferguson, there is little to no reaction to the death of 9-year-old Jamila Bolden, who was fatally shot while doing homework on her mother's bed. The girl's mother was also shot and wounded. The motive for the attack remains unclear, and there are no suspects. Here is the sergeant who responded to the call.
As a mother, of course I was hurt. There's a child that's laying there defenseless, and someone did this to her. So my main objective here was to get her to a hospital, start the investigation so we can find out who did this.
And we're hearing tonight of a small tribute to the 9-year-old. This Facebook picture of Sean Williams holding up a sign that says, "Stand up for Jamila Bolden." Mr. Williams is apparently a stranger who wants police to find her killer. Aside from that, no protests, no gathering, no outrage. Shannon.
All right, Trace, thank you so much. Here now with reaction, Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark. Sheriff, good to have you with us tonight.
Thanks, it's my pleasure.
I come from the camp, as I think you do, that all lives matter. You hate to see any lives lost here, but we've got a little girl, and it doesn't seem like there's the outrage over losing her.
You know, the social order has collapsed in many major urban ghettos across the nation, and I think we're seeing it again in St. Louis. It's very unfortunate that this, and I think this is Exhibit A, that I've renamed this movement from Black Lives Matter to Black Lies, L-I-E-S, Black Lives Matter, because this movement tries to make it seem like the police are the problem. Yeah, we see this black-on-black crime go on just continually. Not too far from that scene where that 9-year-old was. A Tuskegee Airman, 93 years old, was held up at gunpoint. There was a bullet-riddled building nearby, another homicide, and you didn't see this mob really gather out and demand that something, you know, within the black community be done to change this. No, they want to make it about the police. This has just been nothing more than what happened with this 9-year-old. It's just an inconvenience for this group to try to keep the focus on the anti-police movement going on across America, and it is having devastating consequences for good, law-abiding black people.
Do you think there's a way to have a beneficial conversation within the black community? Because people outside that are going to say, we're not the ones who can go in and talk about black-on-black violence effectively. We're not a part of that community, but it's an important topic. Do you think it's possible within that community to have a meaningful conversation on that?
Well, I would like to think that there is, but I haven't seen any indication of it because this whole Black Lives Matter movement is dominating the conversation. They are dominating the stage right now. They're trying to make this about the police. The police are one of the few things that's right in St. Louis, Missouri, one of the few things that's right in Ferguson, Missouri. And until the mainstream media, because they've been the propaganda wing for this movement, until the liberal mainstream media stops fanning the flames of racial division and stops giving the microphone and the stage, if you will, to this mob, they're going to continue to drown out the people who really need to step up and who really can make a difference in the American ghetto.
Do you think this group, though, has some legitimate concerns that need to be addressed? They say that their young people and their communities grow up with a fear of law enforcement officers. They point to incarceration rates. They say they're much higher than the general population. Are there legit issues there that we can talk about as well as the other within the community?
Here's a legitimate issue that I see. The police are authority figures in the community. Whether people like it or not, they are authority figures, and you have to treat them with respect. Young black men are going to have to realize that authority figures have to be respected. You cannot point a gun at a police officer and expect nothing to happen. You cannot, you shall not, you will not point a firearm at a law enforcement officer. So the other things that are talked about, Shannon, I'm not seeing any data to suggest that any of that is true. The use of force by police across the nation is down considerably and has been over the last 10 years. The use of deadly force by police against black males is very rare. As a matter of fact, more white males are killed in confrontations with law enforcement officers than black males, and it's by a nearly 2-to-1 margin. So all I'm saying is that I'm not seeing anything to suggest that there's any legitimacy to these claims being made. This is a political movement now. And this is going to go on, I think, all through the 2016 election to help mobilize the black vote. But it's coming, like I said, at a heavy toll to the good law-abiding black people all across America.
That they find the person responsible for Jamila Bolden's death. Sheriff, thank you very much.
And they're not helping either, are they? It's just the police out there looking for the killer.
Let's hope it's solved for her and her mother. All right, up next, Brian Kilmeade is here on today's Hot Topics, including a Texas lawmaker's claims that he was mistreated during a traffic stop. Well, there's some dash cam video. Might not fit with his story. Then the first 2 women to pass Army Ranger School open up on making history and what it takes to follow in their footsteps. We'll see if Brian can do it. And a new attraction is turning heads in Times Square. It's got everyone talking.